Hello, I'm Chef Ben, part of your Eurus culinary team, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite things in the world, smoked pork shoulder. So I have my pork shoulder already rubbed. Ideally, you want to have it in the rub overnight. And the first thing I do is coat the entire pork shoulder with a generous amount of salt. I like to put on salt first because it helps control the amount of salt that you put on. Then for this pork shoulder, the rub that I put on is 2 parts paprika, then equal parts chili powder, coriander, cumin, garlic powder, cayenne, brown sugar, and the zest of 1 orange. Like I said, ideally you want to put the rub on overnight, but you can put it on just for a few hours at least. I'm also going to be doing some of my famous smoked salsa. So I've just taken some Roma tomatoes, serrano peppers, onions, a clove of garlic, and coated them in some oil and seasoned them with salt and pepper. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I smoke pork shoulder using a Weber grill. So I've got my coals going. They've been going about 15 minutes. And to set it up for smoking, we're going to have to set it up to do indirect heat. We're going to pour the coals in one corner of the grill. And I have an aluminum pan filled with water that we're going to put next to the coals. This will act as a drip pan, and the water will help diffuse the heat so we get indirect heat so we can cook the pork shoulder low and slow. Put the top on it. Give it a quick brush. I already brushed it off earlier. Pork shoulder is going to be placed directly over the drip pan. So when I put the fat side up. You want to have the fat side up so as the fat renders, it'll cook and drip over the meat. Next, I have some mesquite wood chips that I've had soaking in water. So we'll put some of those on top. Soaking the wood chips in water just helps it not burn as fast, so you're going to get a longer amount of smoke out of the wood chips. And so ideally, you want to cook at a temperature of about 225 to 250. Using charcoal, it's a little bit more finicky to get the temperature right. You need to check it approximately every 30 minutes or so to see if you need to add more coals, more wood chips. It's starting to smoke now. I'm going to put my vegetables for the salsa. Garlic a little further away. We're gonna check on this later. Okay, it's been about a half an hour. I've already come in and move the vegetables. About 15 minutes into cooking, I'm gonna take the vegetables off. Now at this point, I've got a nice char on them and acquired some nice smoking flavor, and I'll add some more wood chips, a little more charcoals, and keep going. Okay, it's been another half hour. We've been smoking for an hour in total. At this point, I'm going to rotate the pork shoulder. I'm going to add more charcoal, more wood chips, and check in on it in another half hour. Okay, it now has been a total of 2 hours smoking. Starting to look really good. I'm going to rotate it again. And position it a little bit away from the coals. And we'll keep going. Okay, this pork shoulder has been smoking for about 3 hours. The 3-hour mark is kind of the point where additional smoke isn't really adding flavor anymore. So you can continue to smoke it uncovered. I'm gonna wrap it in tin foil at this point because I find that it just speeds up the cooking process a little bit. I also just temped the pork shoulder and it's about 155 degrees. So it's gonna need a little while longer yet. We'll continue smoking it. Okay, so now while the pork shoulder is cooking, I'm going to make my smoked salsa. So all the vegetables have cooled down. I'm only using 4 cloves of the smoked garlic. I'm gonna save the rest for another use. We're just going to put everything in the blender, but just process it a little bit. Smash the garlic, just to make it a little bit easier to blend. Let's give the tomatoes a nice chop. Charred peppers, just taking off the top of the stem. The rest will go in salsa. Give a rough cut to the onions as well. Make the job a little easier on the blender. And then I'm gonna put some salt. Some pepper, A little bit of cumin. A little bit of chili powder. And some extra virgin olive oil. Just gonna pulse it at first. Put it on low speed. I want to keep a little bit of texture in the salsa. Give it a taste and adjust seasoning. Okay, so the pork shoulder is done now. In total, it cooked for about 5.5 hours. I pulled it off once it got up to 200 degrees. And now it's been resting for an hour. Yes, baby. So as you can see, it's really tender at this point. And that's my smoked pork shoulder. We're going to have some tacos with that tonight. All right, so here we have the finished product. Corn tortilla. Some of the pork here. Got fresh cilantro. Avocado. Some of the smoked salsa. And some fresh lime juice to top it off. There you are. Bon appetit.